You should be a pure play and you should focus, in a laser-like way on that, because that allows a rational investor to put you in their portfolio. For example, like maybe you hate Bitcoin. If MicroStrategy has a strategy, which is we're long Bitcoin, we're levered long Bitcoin, well, then that's good, right? Because now you can short us.
Bitcoin and cryptos have been through a rough year so far, and the near future does not seem very bright for them yet. Or is it not the case? Is there any chance for a reversal of this trend? Will Bitcoin be back in its glory days, at least in this new year? Will all those Bitcoin millionaires come back? Or will we all just be disappointed yet again? Keep watching till the end as Michael Saylor shares his unique insights into the Bitcoin market and its future.
In the near term, you have panics, and the panics cause like risk-off events. Like people panic because inflation is really high, and so they sell the inflation hedge. Huh? Tell me that again. Inflation is really high. The government can't get it under control, so there's a panic. So people sell the inflation hedge, and then the journalists and the modelers say, "Well, look, we've run a statistical model for the past week, and it shows that when inflation is high, people sell Bitcoin, so it's not an inflation hedge." Huh? Well, if you run the model over 2 years, and you look at it since COVID, you can see it's up 229%. And it's pretty clear that gold is not an inflation hedge, and silver is not an inflation hedge, and stocks are not an inflation hedge, right? And bonds are not an inflation hedge, and currency is not an inflation hedge. That's pretty obvious if you look at it over 2 years. But if you shorten your time horizon to 2 weeks, you can come to the opposite conclusion. But in my opinion, it's pretty foolish to come to that conclusion.
In the short run, the markets are always in panic mode. However, this time the rising inflation, war in Europe, China's economic debacle, and the general uncertainty about the U.S. economy have definitely amplified the panic. As Michael points out, the view of the rational investor needs to be a long-term one, not a short-term one. If there's anything the markets have shown us, it is that in the short run, it is a voting machine, and in the long run, it is a weighing machine. Another important factor Michael points out is data analytics. If you take a model, put in the data, and shorten the time horizon, obviously it is going to look horrible and show you that everything is going down. But if you take the same model, the same data, and expand the time horizon and look at it from a long-term point of view, the same statistical data will give you the opposite conclusion.
And so let me put it a different way. You could probably raise $1 billion in one day if you're predictable, even from people that don't even like Bitcoin. Whereas if you're unpredictable, you could work for 1,000 days and raise nothing. So you get where I'm coming at. The world wants certainty, it wants clarity, it wants conviction, and it wants you to execute with focus. So it happens that we believe in Bitcoin.
For better or for worse, rational investors look for stability and clarity. Unfortunately, Bitcoin and crypto in general never really had both. Compared to many other asset classes, even to more volatile ones such as stocks and commodities, Bitcoin still has been unpredictable. In a world where rational investors look for stability, this has been a major obstacle to the growth and acceptance of Bitcoin.
What's beating inflation? Bitcoin is. What's losing? The traders are all losing, right? And most of the other assets are lagging. And everybody's thinking that they can time the market. But as a practical matter, I think they do a statistic, and like 95% of active traders underperform the market. So I think that, as I pointed out, if you look at the 2-year, the 4-year, the 6-year time frame, Bitcoin is acting very rationally per inflation. But if you look at very short time frames like 6 weeks, you may sometimes get the opposite of the expected effect in the near term, because you've got other drivers. You have traders that have large pools of capital that are trading with a different model that are dominating the market in the near term. So I think if you're going to invest in the asset, you have to have a clear idea. Are you a trader or are you an investor? if you're an investor, you have to have a 4-year time frame.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can only start to make conclusions after you've waited a couple of years.
Even during this pandemic, Bitcoin is still winning over inflation. And as Michael points out, traders are losing. 95% of them are losing and underperforming the market. Many factors are behind the short-term volatility and losses. Greater economic factors, traders that got large pools of capital who are dominating the market in the near term, and even rumors and baseless convictions. But if you want to stay in the game for the long term, you need to have the view and the mindset of an investor and play it long term. Investing in Bitcoin and expecting short-term returns is clearly going to end in disappointment. Time in the market is more important for the investor than trying to time the market.
If you're a trader can make conclusions faster. You just look at the correlation. You say, well, NASDAQ traded down 2% today. Did Bitcoin trade down 2% or 4% or 1%? And you're building these back-tested correlated models. And I suppose that works fine. But again, I just think that they're just not intellectually defensible over the long term. Like, for example, the Titanic hit an iceberg. Everybody ran to the deck. Okay. The Titanic sailed into the sunshine and it's a beautiful sunny day, 75 degrees. Everybody came to the deck. Okay. So you've got a statistical model. Everybody runs to the deck. You say, oh, the sun must be shining. It's a great day.
And if you want to trade, it's completely all right to operate in the short-term horizon and come to faster conclusions. But as Michael points out, in reality, most of these Bitcoin trading models are just not defensible rationally. Michael Saylor clearly believes that in the long run, Bitcoin is not only going to recover, but will thrive. What's your take on this? Do you agree with him or have a different view? Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll meet you soon again with a more in-depth take from experts in the arena real soon.